Welcome back, children of the night, to another edition of the Infernal Archive. We got another contemporary review for you today. We are watching The Sticks from 2025. Andrew, can you tell me about this movie?
Yeah, so actually, this is someone I follow on Instagram. He's from Alberta filmmaker. I believe this is his first feature, if I'm not mistaken. And he's just been posting about it a lot on Instagram. And so I was like, when he posted about the release, I was like, hey, we do a review show or we review horror movies. He made a horror film. Maybe we should check it out. Support local, our local, not local, I guess, but Canadian filmmakers and show some support and solidarity. So here we are. And we're going to watch The Sticks.
Hell yeah.
So the scroll says, The Sticks is a 2025 Canadian horror feature directed by Peter Kominek and written by Shelby Cox-Dersch, as well as Kominek. After a violent car crash with her outdoorsman husband, Beth's limited survival skills are pushed to the breaking point as she's stranded alone in a forest filled with deadly supernatural threats.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
Intriguing. Lots of cool BTS content on his socials as well, so that really drew me in, like seeing from a filmmaker's perspective, seeing all the little behind the scenes tricks of what they're doing.
I don't know if you noticed this, but I read this somewhere. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think I read somewhere that they shot the whole thing with a thrifted 50mm lens or something like that. Crazy.
That's cool. I didn't see that, but that wouldn't surprise me.
I read that, so I haven't verified it obviously, so I don't know if that's true, but I was reading some comments and somebody had said that or whatever. I think it was shot for like under $5,000 or whatever.
I think he said the budget was like $5,000.
Yeah, which is nuts.
And like a 2-person crew.
Yeah, nuts. Yeah, like the lead actress and I believe like the director, lead actress. I believe they're also the leads in the film.
Yes.
And they both wrote it, so it's like it's literally like I think there is some other cast in the movie, but I think for the most part it is like a 2-man team, like through and through, basically.
Yeah. It's. I'm excited to see what they were able to do, because if it's at all intriguing, it's incredibly impressive to do even a passable feature for that budget with those constraints.
Yeah,
so
totally.
I'm really excited to see what they cooked up for us.
Heck yeah. Well, we will check out The Sticks and then we will give you our thoughts when we're back.
It's all true. The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
And welcome back, children of the night. We just finished watching The Sticks from 2025. Andrew, what did you think?
I am so impressed with this film.
Yeah.
It's for sure an indie. Like there's no hiding the fact that this is an independent production.
Yes.
I don't think that's a detriment.
No.
But especially when I'm thinking about from the perspective of a filmmaker and someone who aspires to do what this guy did. He did it. He did the thing we want to do, which is make a film.
Totally.
And the fact that they just said, you know what can we do? These are the constraints we have. What can we do with this? And that they were able to come up with something that, whatever, is it perfect? No. Is there like little flaws? Of course, it's an independent production, but I think overall the story was intriguing. And I can't say that I was ever really bored watching this film. Like I thought there was like the storytelling was creative. I really liked the match cutting and the flashbacks that they used to tell the story. I don't want to spoil anything. I thought the ending was effective, brutal. Overall, I would just say I'm impressed with this film. Yeah,
I agree. I think the thing I want to there's a lot of things I think that we could praise about this movie, but I think the one thing I want to call out first is how confident the direction was.
Yes.
Especially, like we said, we think this is the first time, like this is the first feature this guy's ever made. It's actually like, I'm glad we saw The Shrine not too long ago, because this film feels like a full 180 from The Shrine. So whereas The Shrine felt creatively bankrupt and felt lazy and felt like it was shot without a plan, and actually The Shrine, and then what was that film that was set during COVID? What was that movie called? Do you remember?
Harbinger
also suffered from this, where it's like it felt like a movie that was constructed for the most part with like basic coverage and with not a ton of plan going in when they on their shoot days. At least that's the sense I got. This film didn't feel like that at all. There are like the cinematography was so confident.
Yes.
And I was so shocked by how confident it was. Like they were trying things and they pulled off things that I'm like, man, I don't know if I'd have the nuts to like do that. There's one scene in particular towards the beginning when our protagonist, she's by herself, she's struggling, we don't know what's happening to her, but she's in the wilderness, she's by herself, and she needs to make a fire. So at one point she like grabs some firewood and she like drops it by her feet, and then you see her kind of walk away. And then in that same shot, same framing, everything, the grass transitions from being dried and dead to being green, and then you see our protagonist and her husband like walk in a frame, and now it's a flashback, and it works perfectly. And I'm like,
it was so
I don't
effective,
even really know how they did it still. Like I've got like there's the ways that I would do it, and I kind of have ideas or whatever, but like it was very effective, and it was done exactly precisely. Like and that's the thing, I was so impressed with that. There were so many scenes in this movie that you could have just done basic coverage. You could have just done something very basic, and it would have done the job. It would have gotten the story across. But it felt like every scene, or at least for the most part, most of the scenes, it was like they were going the extra mile. What is the most effective shot for this scene? What is I was super blown away by, and I want to say it's the cinematography, but I want to say the direction of the cinematography, like, because it's all just like this 2-man team, which I can really sympathize because we're a small team.
We're a 3-man team.
So it's like oftentimes we're always pulling like triple, quadruple duty or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like the confidence just blew me away. I was very impressed with that.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't agree more. Also, just a great example of knowing what your limits are in terms of budget and crew, and then picking an idea and a concept that can actually be pulled off in an effective way, given those constraints. Like, that was one of the things that I'm like, oh yeah, like this works. There's not really anything in terms of the story that didn't work for me. Cinematography was excellent. Again, because it's mostly outdoors, it has a very high production feel to it, because it all takes place for the most part. There's like 2 locations outside of just like the woods. So I think that really helped it feel not like a super low budget film, because it was gorgeous. It was like fall, like nice colors, and like it's true. I saw the new, it's a weird movie to bring up in this review, but it's like I saw Tron Ares recently, and I enjoyed Tron Ares. I thought it was good. I enjoy that universe a lot, enjoy those movies. But one thing I'll say about Tron Ares is, to a degree, the movie feels smaller than Tron Legacy, like the previous Tron movie. It's like it's set in a single city, and they don't really go to the grid a lot, and it's just like something about how they constrain themselves in that Tron movie. It made the movie kind of have an air of like, it's not made for TV, but it's compared to Tron Legacy, which feels very grand. It lost that sense of scale to a degree. Whereas like you have a movie like this, once again, it doesn't have a budget at all, but it's just extremely clever use of whatever budget it has. It's like, okay, where can we shoot for free? We can shoot in the wilderness for free. But guess what? The wilderness is an infinite expanse where we can show off a whole bunch of it. And how do we stretch this budget? How do we make these locations that we're shooting in, how do we make them look as cool as possible? Like, shooting at different times of the year too. That's a way to like, when I saw snow in that movie, I was like, holy fuck, you guys were like, that is dedication. You guys you guys were there. Obviously, they shot this film over a period of months. Like, it wasn't a 2-week thing that they just one and done. So that blew me away. I 100% agree with that. And then also just want to specifically call out, I thought the prosthetics and the effects work, the practical effects in the couple of scenes that had them were excellent. And like, that's a big standout for me. And I mean, that is, I know from following him on social media, that's kind of Peter's background. Like, he's done a lot of that. So being able to kind of use his experience, and I'm sure some budget to pull off like that. The witch looked like, it's in the trailer, the witch was creepy and looked.
Yeah, the witch was done very well.
Yeah, and it looked better than some of the other indies we've seen, the practical effects, like that stood out for me big time.
Yeah, I'll say there's maybe like a shot, because once again, I'm not going to sit here and just glaze. It's like there might have been a shot or two. There's a scene in a cave in particular where there was maybe a shot or two where I'm like, I might have just ditched that shot, because so many of the shots surrounding that shot were so good and so effective, and shots preceding. There's little like maybe a close up that maybe didn't necessarily need to be there and stuff like that. But it was few and far in between. I'll say it's like there wasn't a lot of them, and it's like I keep remembering. It's like, man, I feel like the standard I'm holding this movie to is the standard I hold large budget features. That's the thing, is I feel like I'm not playing softball with this movie.
No,
which feels nice. It feels nice to see a movie that's done with these constraints, and then the criticisms I have are criticisms I would have of a much larger film.
Yeah, of like a budget.
And I've seen larger films fuck it up way worse. So it's like,
for sure.
which I think is worth saying. Yeah.
And I guess like the only, like, I don't even know if I would, because it's an independent production, this is like the one, like, the audio always seems to be an issue with independent productions. And it's not that it was so bad, like it was legible and whatever, but it's just,
that was almost the problem.
Is that it was like too
ADR.
You could tell right away it was ADR.
Yeah, the whole film felt that's hands down. If you were going to pick out one thing about this movie, that's like, this is the thing that would stand out as the chief criticism. It would. I agree with you. It'd be that audio.
I feel like that's purely a budgetary thing, and if like, give this guy money to make a film is what I have to say. Like, give this guy the money to
1,000,000%. The thing is, like, I'm very sympathetic towards, like, I'm not in this guy's head. I don't know what he was thinking, but it's like I'm very sympathetic towards the desire for ADR, because like if you do on-site audio, it's extremely difficult to do it and do it well and do it in a way that it's like consistent, and to have a movie where it's like this film, not directly, but it's like we were talking a little bit about this before. Like, we saw these other two movies that I would consider kind of indie darlings, but there's a lot more wrong with these films that I'm going to bring up. But it's like once again, it's brought them to mind. There's Pigpen and Found we watched, and I think it was season 1 of this show. And those films had the opposite issue than this film did in terms of the sound, where it's like they relied on like camera audio and scratch audio, and it was really difficult to understand characters sometimes. And those movies were carried through by the strength of their scripts and by how novel the scenarios were, and how shocking the films were themselves. Like, I still found them very effective. This film had the opposite problem, where it's like they were like, we want people to be able to understand our characters. We want was at the forefront of their minds, clearly. Yeah. So, but then it was like, unluckily, it feels, it's like this dance with the devil, where it's like, if you're gonna do ADR, it's like it's tough. ADR is difficult. The thing is, on-site sound is tough. I guess that's sort of what I'm trying to say. It's recording sound on site. That's fucking tough. ADRing, that's fucking tough. Like, either way you go, whatever you do, it's just like that's you're gonna have to give it that. If you want your film to surpass that sound criticism, it's like you need to.
And I feel like it's got to be, given that it's almost a universal thing with these lower budget films. It's almost a thing where it's like, if you have a film of a certain budget, that is going to be an issue no matter what you
totally
do. Unless, like, I guess you're like an audio guy who's making a film.
Someone
or whatever.
Like, that's the thing. Is like, I feel like that's the constant struggle as independent filmmakers, is oftentimes we do have to be we have to be jacks of all trades. We have to wear so many hats. And unluckily, it's just like, you can't wear every fucking hat. Like, there's got to be a point where it's like, I can't do everything. And it's like, and then the thing, obviously, I feel like, with, especially if you're a filmmaker who's like, you've got a camera and you're editing and you're writing, you're directing, you're doing all that stuff. Sound is probably going to be the thing where you're like, I can't do that too.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Oh, fuck you.
Like, I can't do that to this standard of professionalism that I'm doing all these other things.
And like, all that being said too, like, I would rather have the ADR and be like, oh, like that sounds very ADR.
Yeah.
But still be able to understand and like
100%.
follow everything.
Yeah.
Than the opposite, which is like the camera audio, scratch audio, where I'm struggling to
Yeah,
hear and understand.
yeah,
So
that's way more irritating. Yeah.
given the constraints and everything, I think the right call was made here. And I think it didn't, it was more evident in certain areas than others. Like certain spots, I didn't notice it as much.
It to me, it was like usually if our character entered the water, that's when it was like, okay, we really like the water's not making like the right sounds here. It's a little light. It's a little like the splashing doesn't sound quite whatever. That's what I would really like. Obviously, there were scenes like. I'm not an audio expert, but it's like there are scenes when there's two characters talking and it might be lacking some of that reverb that you would get or some of that echoey, like when you're outside, the sound is kind of, and it sounds a little bit more like we're in a studio. The thing is, what I thought though was like, because this movie's all ADR, because they took the time to go into a studio, it's like you could potentially take this film, you could give it to an audio engineer. They could just they could go through, give it another pass. Yeah. And he's like, you could do, I'm not saying do this, I'm just saying potentially, it's like you have maybe like down the line, if the filmmakers wanted to, like maybe they could do another pass of the audio, get rid of that issue. And then this film is like, in terms of that, it's like, it's pretty, like I have no, then I wouldn't have any criticisms on that sort of technical sense, I guess. I thought it would be beyond that a little more. The one film that I like us just talking about this, that I think would be an interesting example because it's another independent feature that wasn't done for a lot of money. Caveat is a movie that I think it would be it would be you haven't seen it, but it's like it's a film that it leans more into the audio was shot on the day, but it's legible and it's good and it's sort of, I think for this level of independent feature, it's what you're probably shooting for as like your as your minimum if you want it to be like a movie that
stands up.
That like really like noisy guitar. That's probably like where your bar is at. And so I'd be fascinated to read about Caveat and like how did that, because they were also a small team as far as I know. Like how did they make sure their sound was sounding good and all that stuff. But yeah, that's enough about the sound. It's we couldn't not bring it up. It was I think it's something we had to. But beyond that, Andrew, it's like what I kind of want to talk about. Just the story of this movie, but it's like you got anything else that's on your mind?
No, that's where I was going to go too. The story, I was really impressed. Like the twists and turns really worked for me. I love the supernatural elements they threw in there. The acting I thought was very well done, especially for such a small cast. Like. And especially with an independent film, you never know what you're going to get in terms of the acting. And this, I thought it was all very effective. Nothing took me at no point did it take me out of the film.
I'll say this one. That's what he's like. They are you two are very Canadian. Like you don't. It's always funny when you hear somebody who does some of the Canadianisms, and it was like I forget because it's like in Saskatchewan. I don't know if it's just. I guess I feel like I don't interact with a lot of people who do the Saskatchewanisms, or if I do, it's like really way over the top. But it's like they just sounded like Canadians. They sounded like what you like. So I thought that was kind of nice.
It was
unmistakably
great.
Canadian,
in a good way, totally. Yeah. I love random small note. I loved the fake beer brand they had, the Kananaskis. I loved
the poster was really well done.
Really
it's
well
like
done.
I knew it was Greek.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, you took time. That's really nice. I like that.
That was cool.
I appreciate that level of effort.
And I enjoyed the style of storytelling with the flashbacks and the back and forth and the match cutting. I thought it was a really effective way to
ambitious. Very ambitious. Like,
but it was so effective.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Is like I'll say. The only thing, once again, I think if I was to, it's another criticism, but I would cut this out of the movie. There's a section when they're doing this like montage of their life together, kind of, and it felt a little bit like we're just gonna put a music video in this film, and it's the only part of the film I think was kind of unnecessary. You could just cut that out. Like I gathered, because I get why you'd want to have that scene in there, just to like really establish the fact that it's like, look, they had this lengthy relationship, but by like they established at one part where it's like they got married, so it's like my brain's gonna tell me it's like, okay, if they got married, clearly they had a relationship or whatever. It's the only part of the film in terms of the flashbacks I think I would just chuck that scene or whatever. Even though it's like when I was watching the scene, I'm like, man, they really sent it with this scene, because it's like they went to so many locations, they came up with so many scenarios for this couple. So I was like, I love that, but it's like I don't know if it's necessarily like feels like a little bit maybe not like I said, it feels like a music video. It's like, this would be a fucking amazing just like music video by itself. It's nice little romance or whatever. But yeah, like in terms of the what is this? Actually, Men is a movie I really love, horror movie that came out a couple years ago, Alex Garland. But it does kind of, it's not the same, but it's similar, where it's like you're following this solo female protagonist, and then occasionally it'll flash back to a scenario, like this thing that happened in her past. And I think this film was like equally as effective. Like, it reminded me of that, and I think it did it as well as that movie did.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. What did you think of the big sort of reveal towards the end of the movie? There's maybe we won't spoil it, but there's this big reveal that happens. And so I guess like what I'd like to compare it to is like, do you think that it was similar at all to like the Radius reveal? Because like in terms of the content of the reveal, it was like the content is similar. So how did you feel about that?
This is the folly of a two-man crew with no producer here today. We had to switch ourselves and things cut. So we have to take it back and wrap it up here.
We lost about 10 minutes there. But it's a good 10 minutes. We came with some good stuff, so we're gonna talk about what we were talking about. So just to finish off sort of what I was saying before about the twist in this film, I personally, like, it didn't 100% work for me. I found it a little too grand. I just didn't think it was necessary to like tell the message of the story. I think I would have preferred it be a little more subdued. What I said before was like a little more local news, less global, less national news. Maybe focus more. I really enjoyed the domestic aspect of this movie, the domestic relationship. Mm-hmm. So maybe like if you're gonna put some abusive situations in this movie, I would have loved to had it focused more on that sort of domestic type stuff. Mm-hmm. But like you were saying, even though it's a pretty big twist, it's pretty like whoa, like wild, very very big news. Once I saw it, I was able to like integrate it, and then I was like, okay, now this is the world of the film, and the film was able to take me on the ride still, and I was able to enjoy the rest of the film even so. Whereas like Radius was the movie we brought up, that film didn't do that. It felt like it just interjected this twist that was less interesting than what was already going on, and it was like, why are we doing this now? This feels purposeless, and just like it felt like you just wanted this in the script for no reason. I think when we reviewed that movie, we said it felt like they had two scripts and they just mushed them together for some reason. Yeah. But yeah, that's sort of my feeling on the twist. It didn't ruin the film for me, but it's definitely something that I might have, had I written it, I probably would have written it a little differently, I guess would be the way to say it. I
mean, one thing I know we want to really touch on, it was an afterthought before, I think we should talk about it though, is the score.
Yes.
And how, like, not through the whole thing, but like when it was effective, it was very, very effective.
Extremely.
And unique. Yeah. Very unique.
Yeah, totally. It's something I think about quite often when I'm thinking about the type of horror movie we'd want to make or I'd want to make. A scene that comes to my mind often is the beginning to An American Werewolf in London. And the howl. I always talk about the American Werewolf in London howl, how iconic it is, how chilling it is, how it's just this sound that to me, like, it almost makes the movie. It's so good. American Werewolf in London is a great film beginning to end, but the beginning of that movie is so strong, it could have supported a shit movie. I could have watched an hour and a half of shit just because of how much I love the opening of that film. And it's because, a large portion of that love is because of that sound effect, that piece of iconic sound. And this movie has that iconic sound. They have this piece of the score. So the film is called The Sticks, if you didn't gather that from us saying it a couple times. The film's called The Sticks. And the score, there are parts of it that sounds like sticks on wood being like a ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. The film that reminded me of weirdly, like in a like grandiose film, but it's like, if you listen to Hans Zimmer talk about when they did the score for Dune, and I was like, we did unforgivable things to come up with the sounds for this movie, and it's like, I don't know what that means. That sounds sketchy, but it's like if you see these recent Dune movies, the sound is undeniably just like an experience. It's like it's like nothing else. It's unique. They sound like didgeridoos and like it's just completely its own thing and brilliant and very cinematic, I guess would be the best way to say it, and iconic. And I feel like in a way this reminded me of that. It felt like a sound that was so appropriate to the film that it was in, that it was just perfect, and it was like very impressed. Like I think, like you said, it's like I don't think the score was necessarily strong like that beginning to end, but those pieces were so strong, and it was so above and beyond that you
kind
just
of carried the whole thing too.
Yeah,
really,
you just don't see it in independent filmmaking.
No.
Really, that type of attention to detail.
And I think going in on that detail, the other thing that I hope we can set up the interview with Peter and with the two creators. I forget her name. But yeah,
shit, I had it written down.
I know
I lost my piece of paper.
But yeah,
I think, did we mention this in the beginning? The writer director of this movie are the stars.
Yeah.
Or sorry, they both wrote it together, and then the director and the writer, they're the stars of this film. I'm fairly certain.
I'm fairly certain as well. Yeah. But yeah, the detail and all the symbolism and the little like breadcrumb trails and little like nuggets of like, is it this, is it that, is it psychological, is it whatever?
Yeah.
I'd love to just hear the thoughts on like what
get direct answers
for like what they were going for.
It's like one of the few situations we might actually be able to like, it's so nice for you to tell, like
closure.
I brought this up in another movie we talked about, the Mothman Prophecies. We reviewed that movie a little while ago, and I brought up the similarities it has to Silent Hill, so I feel like I'm a bit of a one-track record here. But this film also, especially, there's a scene in a cave with creatures where I'm like, this is fucking Silent Hill shit going on here. And especially, it's funny because in the moment in that scene, when that cave scene happens, there's like this moment when a woman's struggling to breathe. And I was like, that looks a little odd. Like, why that? I was questioning it in my head. I'm like, okay, maybe that's one of those budgetary constraint things. But no, it wasn't a budgetary constraint thing. It is a direct visual callback to a thing that happens, and then I'm like, oh, that's fucking awesome. And it that's a moment that to me felt so Silent Hill, especially if you played Silent Hill 2. Huge aspect of that is like, it's like the main character's psyche has like these real world representations, and everything has this like meaning, and you can really delve into it. And this movie felt like it had that going on. And like you said, it's like I'd be fascinated to hear like all the little things, because there's so much symbology in the movie. There's like circles and little totems, and there's so much going. There's a fish thing that pops up. Like, I'd love to hear what everything
like
that was going on in his head.
Mouth. Yeah,
exactly.
Score.
We talked about score.
Not score.
Oh,
whatever.
score. Yes.
What are we going to score? What are we rating? What's our rating? And,
well, do you want to?
Yeah, like if I was going to grade on a curve, kind of, and take into account the budget and the story and all the constraints, I'd be inclined to bump this up to like an 80-85, given those constraints. However, I think this film is good enough that it doesn't need the kid gloves.
No, yeah.
And like I could stand on giving this a set like a 70-75.
Yeah.
And that's like with like direct comparison to other films with big budgets,
100%.
Whatever. I could defend a 75.
Yeah, to me, I agree 100%. Not grading on a curve. To me, it's a hard 75%. The biggest criticism of this film is that technical aspect, which is that the ADR, the sound, which just doesn't quite mesh. But it's like, once again, because it's consistent, and we've talked about this before, at least it's consistent throughout the film. So you get used to it at the very beginning, and then it's like then that's the film. Like, you're presented, this is how the film is presented, and then you get over it. You can watch it, you can enjoy the story. It doesn't detract from the action that's happening on the screen.
It doesn't take you out of it. Once you're like, the first couple of minutes, you're like a little bit hard to get into.
Yep.
But once you're into it, whatever. Yeah. That's how it is.
Like, we were talking about this. Like, I've seen Nolan movies where I couldn't understand characters. So it's like, like, that's fucked. At least in this movie, I could understand what they were fucking saying.
Yeah.
So that's a point above of like some fucking Nolan movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I deeply enjoyed this movie. I'm wildly impressed by the ambition, by the confidence in the directing, the confidence in the cinematography, just the creativity when it came to the score, when it just all these things coalesced to me. The ending was brutal and poignant and whatever. It's like I got to think about this movie more because I'm so curious about if the story totally is like is cohesive at the end or whatever. But it reminded me of auteur filmmaking in such a good way, where it's like it's clearly this vision that was really, they really went for it, and I really enjoyed the journey they took me on. And even if at the end it's like, man, did this all make sense? Like, did this all make sense? Even if it didn't, I'm like, I don't even really care. I just love that it was so ambitious and it was so entertaining to watch. And it's just my kind of movie. It's a solo protagonist. It's played straight. It's dark.
And the ending is it's like a brutal, depressing kind of ending that
100%.
Matches the horror genre perfectly.
Yeah, the ending is brilliantly done and executed. Yeah,
and I gotta say, with regards to like our rating of it, shortly before we filmed and watched the movie, I follow him on social media, and one of the things he posted was how the movie currently has a 4.5 out of 10 on IMDb. I think it's criminally low, but he basically was posting about how he's pretty impressed with that and happy with that score because, yeah, compared to like Terminator 2, if you're just comparing this to all movies ever made, like a 4.5 out of 10, like there's huge budget movies that have way worse scores.
Oh, in a world where the Lord of the Rings exists and you get to be a 4 on the scale of 1 to the Lord of the Rings, like that's fucking great, man. To even be put on the scale,
exactly,
is great. So that's
just his attitude around it. I think is very.
That's a wonderful
great
attitude, and it's the type of thing where people have talked about this before, but on a 1 to 10 scale, it feels like 1 to 5 is ignored in reviews. Like it's just like people don't even like address that, and then it's like you really only ever see that like 6 to 10 range ever addressed, and it's like, why do we even have all these other numbers if it doesn't like mean anything really? So yeah, I agree. I don't think the film deserves a score that low. It would easily surpass that 50th percentile to me. To me, I really enjoyed it. It gets up to that 75%.
Same
but
here.
I like you said, I love the guy's attitude. It's the type of thing you want to see with independent filmmakers, to take criticism, not be discouraged, go do another. Like I pray to the whatever
filmmaking
grand filmmaking god, Ridley Scott. I pray to Ridley Scott that this man gets some more money. He gets a budget. He's.
I'd love to see what he could do with like even like 100K.
Some resources.
Like, yeah,
absolutely. I'm there for it. It's like the filmmaker who did Oddity. Who did Caveat was the movie before Oddity. It's clearly there's a talent there, and I'm very excited to see where that talent goes. And if you can express that level of creativity and that sort of confidence with those constraints, holy fuck! If you didn't have some of those constraints, what could you do? I'm very excited to see what this individual does next.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
So I think those are our thoughts.
We're hoping to maybe get an interview with Peter and I guess both creators potentially, but at least Peter. So hopefully we can, I'm not sure if we'll attach that to this video or if it'll be a separate additional thing, but look forward to that maybe.
100%. Sorry if this review ran a little long. Not often we get to talk about independent films shot in the prairies and filmed by prairie filmmakers. So we gushed a little bit. We really enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the review, and we will catch you next time.